I'm Imam. Today I'm going to show you guys how to use using Blender for mesh modeling. So it's very basic. We'll go through the basic fundamental of using Blender and to create a really simple model. And so this video is gonna be helpful for someone who is just getting started with Blender or thinking of coming into Blender and using Blender for modeling. So Blender is a mesh modeler. So mesh is a different technique, and there are different types of 3D modeling. So there is a solid modeling, there is mesh modeling. So Blender is mainly for mesh modeling, which has application in gaming models, and also cinema, CGI, rendering, any cinemas or Hollywood movies will all uses mostly mesh modeling, because this modeling technique is very fast, and it has many advantages, but it also has disadvantages in terms of modification. Sometimes takes longer. If you want to modify some particular feature, it's more like a manual task you have to do. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm using latest Blender version, which is 2.8, which is the latest Blender version now available from the website. Today we're gonna build a simple house. Something looks like house. So if you click on that's the splash screen. If you click and it will left click, it will go away. And if you can use middle mouse, the scroll mouse button, and click and drag to rotate the viewport, which is you can rotate it and see your model from different angle. And then you can use the shift key and then middle mouse button dragging to pan the world around you, so end up seeing from left or right, up and down. So yeah, now when you start Blender, a new document is created, like a file new, and then it has a cube model by default. So if you don't need it, we can delete it, but I'm gonna delete it. To delete, just press. Now the cube is already selected, that's why it's got a orange boundary around it, and if you press X key and it will say delete, okay, and just press delete, it will be deleted. So all the objects in our scene in the viewports are listed in here in this side. So in the scene collection, you see we have a camera. If you click on that one, it will highlight it in the screen using the yellow orange color, and we have a light here. So I think we can keep this for the time being. So if I wanna look in the wall from the top, I have to press in the numeric pad, you can press 7. Then now I'm looking from the top view. If I press 1, then I'm looking from the front, and it says here front orthographic. So I'm in orthographic mode. What is the orthographic? It's a kind of view where all the dimensions looks regardless of the distance you're looking from, all the dimensions looks accurate. So in simple term, I would say. So if you press 3, should be able to see the right view. Right is what does all this means, we'll see. First we create a plane. We put a plane inside our 3D world. So here you have different what is it, I would say different window where you can do different things on your model, and it will bring up different tools along with it. So now I'm in the, let's go to the modeling window. So we want to create a model, and here you can see different properties for the currently selected object. Light is selected, it's got a location XYZ coordinate in the XYZ coordinate system. X is along this reddish pinkish line, Y is along the greenish line, and Z is up and down. So you can adjust this by dragging. See, now the light is moving along the X axis, which is the which is the red pinkish line. If I drag this, I can just manually enter the value as well. So now currently it's showing in meter. If I set it to 0, say, the light would be centered. So now it's centered at the x and y 0, but it's got an altitude. I can adjust the altitude, which is along the z-axis. That's how you can apply rotation as well, but let's not worry about these things at the moment. So in Blender, everything is a mesh modeling. Mesh modeling is a technique to visualize a 3D object using only triangles. So any object you can think of using a smaller, made up of small triangles or larger. So even you can approach a curve, really smooth curve, using lots of small triangles. Let's see how it works. Or it could be any plane. So by going to the add menu here under the modeling, we can add different mesh plane. I want to add a plane for our home. Before that, because let's work in let's set the, because I think currently the unit is in meter. So you see the plane is lying on the XY plane, which is on the ground. Let's suppose it's on the ground. So now in our scene we have light, camera, and a plane. So this plane is selected right now. If you want to select from the viewport, even if you select another object, you just have to click right. Now the light is selected. I can also select the camera. Let's select the plane, our plane. I want to rotate this so that it looks 90 degrees. So using the rotate tool on the left from the modeling, if you press this, and the rotate tool will pop up, and then I can now use the green rotation using, and I can rotate my model, my plane. And if you see, it's a thin plane, it doesn't have any thickness, it just has a shape. So because it's a plane, and I can see how much I'm rotating in the left top corner, and it's rotating 58. Let's set it to 90 roughly. 90. Yeah, that's about it. It's not exactly 90. We can fix it. Click on the selection. Now we select our plane, and let's go to here, the object properties. Here, object. Now we can see the object, all the properties for the object. The object is plane is selected, and it's 90 degree rotation. Let's fix it as it is. I'm exactly clicking. So this is another way, just typing in. So we just rotate it along the Y. So along the Y rotation, we can drag and see, adjust let's set it to 90. So it's now erected fully. Now using the scroll, you can zoom in and zoom out. I just zoom in, or you just can press, when the plane is selected, you can just press the dot in the keyboard, and it will bring the view closer to the selected object. Now let's modify this plane so that it looks a little bit more like a home. Let's first bring it up a little bit using the move tool. From here I can see it's got 3 different arrows to move in 3 different directions. I want to move up and upwards. I can drag that and release to get into the position. You can see this doesn't have any thickness. Now so if we want to modify, like I said, it's mesh modeling. So it has, the way it works in mesh modeling, every object is made out of some vertices, some points. and shapes are the surfaces or planes are created out of these points. So this plane also has 4 points, as you can assume, in 4 different corners. If you want to see it or modify the locations of the points, we just have to press tab. It will bring take this to from the, or you can just go there, go here, and you can see object mode, or you can select edit mode. Now you see there are 4 points on this plane. So these points are defining the shape of this plane. I just selected left top point and also bottom. I'm just trying to show you. I can select individual points by clicking on the right mouse button. Let's try to move this point using the move tool. From the left, you can see now I'm modifying the shape of my plane by moving the point along the y-axis. You can see the dimension in here as well. Oh, that's no good. Let's set it to 0. Now let's bring it up again for the object. This is for the whole object, by the way. This is not for the point. It's showing. Now this one has a different location and then this one. If I want to see the coordinate of this particular point, I have to press or you can click on this one and drag. View, focal length tool, move object, workspace. I'm just trying to figure out, because this is a rotation of the 3D. Okay, item. As you can see, I can adjust the location of this from here as well. So it says vertex. So you can just, to bring up this special toolbox or sidebar, you just have to press N, and would hide and show this thing for in the edit mode, or then item, it says item transforming. Let's select on this one. So it says X is 1 meter. Let's set it to 1 meter as well. X, now we want Y to be -1, similar to this, and X is the back and forth, which is 1 meter, should be 1. No, X is now is up and down, so just set it to similar to this, -1. Okay, now I want to look from, so now we are seeing in a perspective mode. Like I said, perspective mode is the normal mode, normal view, kind of projection of the object into the 3D world, just the way we see in everyday life. That's the normal projection perspective. If you want to change it to orthographic projection, which is where everything looks as exactly regardless of the their distance from the eye, the dimensions all looks accurate. So this is orthographic projection. It is good for editing, so we can see all the dimensions as it is, like the length, width, or height of this plane. So let's work in the orthographic. Just press. So here now we are trying to, okay, let's make it look like a more like a side of a house. So we can select the vertices. What we want to do, if we select, let's select, other than vertices we can also select in the mesh modeling. So the way it works, so you have vertices defining the shape, as well as you have what is known as edges. So every 2 vertices is constructing an edge. So you can see every edge I can move around as well. Now it's like moving two vertices together. So I can just that. Then you have another element you have in mesh modeling is the face, which is essentially a plane. So it could be any triangular plane. Normally every plane is triangular, but when we would, if we move these vertices, I want to show you what I mean. If I move these vertices, this is not a natural plane. So essentially now you've got two planes. You can't really see it, but if you look at from an angle, you can see there are two planes now. So that's why in mesh modeling actually there are only triangles, no, not actually. So triangles made out of three vertices, so 1 2 3 and 1 2 3. So these two triangles, there are two triangles, so both of them sharing two vertices with each other. So that's how it is. Let's press Ctrl Z to undo the process. Now that's the fundamental. Okay, if I press 3, now I'm looking from the right view and I'm looking in orthographic. If I press 5, I'm switching between orthographic and perspective view. Perspective is more natural, the way we see it, like things converges as they go further away from our eye. So but this is good for our natural experience, but not good for modeling as far as the dimensions are concerned. So we want to go back to our orthographic view by pressing 5. Now let's press the edge select. So we want to select the edge. So there are different tools we want to use. Let's say I want to stretch this edge up. I want to create a new edge which is like extrapolating from this edge. So what we have to do, you can go edge menu and then extrude edge. Press extrude edge. Now I'm extruding new edge from this existing one, but as you can see now it's also a new face, is a new plane is created. I want to constrain the movement of this new edge only along the z-axis. So press Z to constrain movement along a particular z-axis. So now it's constrained. If I press Z again, then something else is happening, but let's keep it. I'm gonna move it up that much, let's say. Now I have a couple more edges because we have got a new plane now, as you can see. Let's switch back to right view, and I can select these two edges by pressing clicking right on one edge and then press shift key, keep pressing the shift key, and again click right button, mouse button on another edge. Now both edges are selected. Now what I want to do, I want to create new edges, maybe out of these edges. So I have to press E button, E for creating new edges, like we did with extrude out of existing edges. And now just press right click to, now the new edges are in the existing position, we haven't moved him, so that's why we wanna use the push tool or pull tool. Push and pull available, should be available here. Extrude region, set face, insert bevel, loop cut, edge slide, flatten, shear, rip region, and a vertex slide. Okay, we have several tools here available. Extrude region, annotate, but looking for something else here. Under the edge, what do we have here? We don't have push and pull. Should be, let's select vertex mode. Vertex and vertex vertices, three vertices. We want, okay, under the mesh transform, yeah, let's select the edge again, and under the mesh we want to use transform the selected newly created edges. We want to use push and pull. What it does, it moves, so we want to move it along the x-axis or y-axis. So as you can see, push and pull hard. So because we created new edges from the existing, moving them along a particular direction, so we now constraining the movement along y-axis by pressing Y. So when we press Y, it's now constrained along y-axis. Let's move it up to this much. Now, so now we have this particular shape. Let's press 3 and then look from the right, and I know it doesn't look anything like house. Let's try it though. Here we have some edges. What we can do, we can dissolve this edge. Dissolving means we don't need it anymore. You don't want to modify anything. You can go edge and see anything called dissolve edge. Just press W, brings up this menu. Oh no, let's press X for deleting anything. We wanna delete dissolve edge. Oh, it dissolved. See, it disappeared. It disappeared from our editing plane. Even though internally it's there, but we will not be able to edit. But as we don't need it, let's do the same. Press X and then dissolve edge. Do the same. Let's do with this one as well. Let's dissolve edge. Oh, it changes the shape, so we can't really, sometimes we can't really dissolve everything. Let's try a different way. Limited dissolve. Yeah, limited dissolve worked. So now we have got yeah, let's now go back to vertex mode. Let's be from right, vertex mode. What I want to do is select both these vertices. Again, right click to select and then shift. While pressing the shift, again right click to select another one. We want to merge these two vertices, so we can go vertex. Here should be something called merge. If it's not merge, maybe merge vertices. At the center, we wanna mark the center of these two vertices. Now, as you can assume, now it's starting to look, but it's still planar. So we just created one side of the house. Let's save this. Maybe not save. Let's save it. Go file and save, and then on the desktop let's give it house, simple house, really simple. Because now we have a plane which it's got some vertices, some edges, one single plane, editable plane. Internally there are several triangles, but it's essentially for our editing purposes is only one single plane. If we select the plane selection menu, I'll show you that later. So we've got a couple of edges. We should be able to move these edges around if we need to. And yeah, let's first apply. Apply some color to it. Now at the moment If we go to the material section in here, color, material is the one is kind of like applying color to this mesh, individual mesh. Still, let's give it a name first. Let's go back to the object here. Now it's called plane, as you can see here as well. Let's go to site, front, house front, and see the scene tree is updated. We can show or hide any scene element into the viewport by pressing this I. See, is showing and hiding. Similarly, light for light and also for camera. Let's zoom in again by scrolling the mouse, and here select this, and let's go to the material here. Let's create a new material, add a new material. Now at the moment, base color, let's select a base color to, let's give it something like this. Now you're saying why it's not showing up here, because now our viewport is, for the purpose of just editing, we have to switch this to look depth mode to be able to see the material on in our objects or meshes. This viewport shading is only for editing purposes. It doesn't show the material, and this viewport, look depth viewport, shows us the material as well. Now as you can see, it's showing the color we selected. I think that's enough. We can give this material a name, but I think for this video, just pressing double color. Metallic, we can apply some material specular. Let's reduce it. Roughness, let's increase it. These are for shading purposes, how the material would look while rendering. Okay, let's go back. Let's do some further editing, and let's create the roof. So from the side, really simple. Shall we apply a thickness to this? We can do this by pressing A. If you press A one time, it selects all. So it's now selecting all the edges, as we have edge selection mode. Now pressing E again, now extrude, like we extruded edge, single edge. Now extruding all the edge, creating a solid. Now it's creating, it's extruding along the normal of all the edges. Normal is along where all the edges are facing towards, kind of. So we can change the direction as well by moving mouse. We can see in the left top corner how much the thickness is. We can decide, or we can just type in the value we want, but I just want to do it graphically. Let's give it that much and left click to finish the job. Now we have a solid, kind of solid object in like real world, and now you should be able to see if we go to the edit mode by going here or by pressing tab, we go to the face selection mode. You see one face, we have another face, we have several faces. You can right click and select individual faces and do some editing. You can see editable faces, although all these are triangular internally. Let's go to edge selection mode. Now let's create the roof. Let's select these two edges, these two. Now we selected two. When you select, the first selection is colored as pink, and the last one, as you can see, other one is colored as white. Now what I want to do E again, extrude along this, so it will create a plane. I suppose, yeah, it's creating. You can see I want to limit the direction in along the x, which is in this. Now I'm creating the roof essentially for the house. Let's give it up to that much, even though it doesn't have any thickness, but I essentially created the platform for the roof. Now one thing I wanna do is to separate this from this is one single object. The way we separate, we go to edit mode, select the edges. I wanna separate, or I can just simply select the faces. Now I have selected these two faces or all the edges. In the mesh, I can say, or if I press P or edges, here there should be something called view mesh, extrude, no, face data. It should be somewhere in the edit selection, add mesh, righty, extrude, no, vertices. Let's press P because I can't find it. Sometimes you just have to remember the shortcuts, because finding it under the different menus is kind of messy. Press P, separate selection. Okay, I want to separate this by selection because I selected. Now the separated from the object. As you can see, I can't select them anymore. They are now part of different object. Like in the scene tree, you can see a new object is created from the separation. Let's exit the edit mode. Now I have two objects. One is the roof, and let's give it name roof. I can double click here or just go to the object tab and just keep it roof and give it a new material for this one. I don't want to use the existing one. Let's remove that by pressing the minus and new and give it a color. Yeah, it looks something like roof. Let's save this by Ctrl S, save the document. Now we have, even though the roof has no thickness, we can apply some thickness. Just let's go to the edit mode for the roof and face selection, face this, and we're gonna do extrude again, E to extrude along. As you can see, now it's extruding along the, let's give it that much. Now we have a roof which has thickness as well. Let's lift. As you can see, when we select the roof object, the movement, its origin is still located here, where we can use the grabbing handle to move it around. So if you wanna, let's undo, Ctrl Z, we wanna adjust the origin for this object. Origin is where you should be able to rotate or move. Then we go to object, set origin to geometry. Now it brought back the origin to the center of the geometry, center of gravity or center of mass. We can set it by, as you can see, now I can select by right clicking individual object. I can select. Now pressing in the viewport moves our 3D cursor. 3D cursor is where a new object is created. We can this is the 3D cursor. Anyway, let's continue. I want to duplicate. I think that's not sufficient to finish. I think let's keep it simple. We can definitely add more detail for this. Let's keep it simple. Let's create more objects. Let's create the side side. Do we really need side, or just keep it as it is? I think, yeah, you guys can come up with a innovative. It's not actually a house, maybe it's a kind of bus stand where people sit and stand, wait for the bus. I gave it a house. Not exactly. Let's duplicate this thing. We go to object, we can just press D to duplicate. Alrighty, here duplicate object. We can create linked one where if you modify one, the other one will be modified as well. So let's do duplicate object, and now a duplicate is created, and we should be able to move it around by moving the mouse. We wanna movement, define the movement along the X, and then move it along the X. That's it. Now looking from the front, I can grab this while we have the move tool, and then precisely, or more precisely, if you want to do, we can use the snap tool here, snap, and then we define face snap. So when we move it snaps to the face. How do we do it? We have to use the help of keyboard. Ready, pivot point, press G to move the object and along X, and then you see when I hover over this face, it snaps there because we have a snap feature and it's on the face. Let's turn it off. Again, when you want to move, press G, and you can constrain in again X by pressing X and then move around, because the snap is not. If you want to cancel any operation, and just right click and takes us back to. Now we have a very simple house. Let's save it. I think that's about it. This is a very basic tutorial for Blender. I hope you liked it. For future videos, please like, thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.